Our Lord is not dealing with any nation except the nation of Israel, or the sons of Israel, or the children of Israel, giving all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Rakakwadash. I was just watching a video that was put up by Yashawamba, and he was going into and we all most of us did videos on this. There's a video that was put up by the infamous Haman Vocab Malone, the serpent in the garden, concerning Othal Wallace, who was part of the NFAC. Now, as I was watching the video that Yashawamba, Elder Yashawamba put up, he was showing news clip, and they interviewed they so-called tracing back to the NFAC, which is headed by this guy Grandmaster Jay, who came out of nowhere 2 years ago. 2 years ago, came out of nowhere, and I remember when he came on the scene, and a lot of people flocked to him, but he was pushing the Kemetic stuff. He didn't say shalom, shalom. He didn't call on the name of the Most High, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai. He was, Kemetic. His delivery was basically that Kemetic, black consciousness stuff. But he just came out of nowhere, and Jake just flocked to him. And Jake, you know what? When you see Jake, hey, the scriptures say the simple believeth every word. If you come out of nowhere with some doctrine, and you wear like a cosmic, like you came from outer space. Oh, like a perfect example. Jakes went wild when Black Panther came out. The movie Black Panther. You was dressed up as a Black Panther. You were going to the movie theaters dancing like the Black Panther actually exists. And then on top of that, the Most High killed the Black Panther. He gave him colon cancer. And right after he made his claim to fame was the Black Panther, and he played James Brown, played different roles, which he was considered a great actor. He's like the next Denzel Washington. But his height was the Black Panther, and what was it? A year later, he dropped dead. But y'all flocked to the theaters to see that movie, not realizing that Stan Lee is an Edomite. Well, he might be a Jake. He's Russian extraction. He had a creative mind to come up with these superheroes. So he could have been a Jake. Don't quote me on it. That looked like an Edomite, but he looked like an Edomite. So we're gonna say he's an Edomite. Well, this is a white man that came. This is something that came out of his mind, man. Hey, when Superman came out, Esau wasn't flocking to the theaters wearing fucking red capes. You niggas is simple, man. Hey, the scriptures say the simple believeth every word. So here you got this guy, Grandmaster Jay, came on the scene speaking that Kemetic stuff. Then all of a sudden he just switched, and now he's teaching that the Israelite. He did his first march in Georgia at this park, and there was a so-called white guy in a station wagon, I believe it was, and you can hear him saying, "Who's this Edomite?" So all of a sudden, he went from Kemetic to being an Israelite. And then this guy Wallace, Othal Wallace, or whatever his name is, he shot a cop in the head, and they didn't shoot him. Here you got Jake's putting their hand up and getting shot up. Jake's got their hand, their backs to the cop, with their hands up, saying, "Please don't shoot," and they get shot anyway. So here this guy shoots a fucking cop in the head, and all of a sudden he hides out in a fucking a doghouse, a tree house. But then they capture him, no incident, man, and he's armed to the teeth. Come on, man. So here comes Haman, aka the serpent in the garden, Vocab Malone, with this guy was a Hebrew Israelite, shoots cop in the head. So I look up the story and look, I go to the news, I put the guy in the news, they ain't mention nothing about him being an Israelite. They just say, oh, he's part of the NFAC. Now, the head of the NFAC said he wasn't part of the group, but he left the group, so we don't know where he went. So, but this is coming back to the serpent in the garden. Vocab. He's got to jump on it and say, this is called reaching. He's got to reach and somehow, say, oh, he's an Israelite. Well, anyway, bottom line is, if he says he's an Israelite, well, he found out who he is. Anytime Jake does anything, they're all Israelites, whether they know that they're Israelites or not. Anyway, I just want to read because the elder Yashawamba mentioned Ezra, the 4th chapter. He didn't get a chance to read it, so I said I'm just going to go to Ezra chapter 4 and not read the whole chapter, but I'll read part of it. And this right here shows you that the Lord was never with any of these nations, and the Most High is only for the children of Israel, the sons of Israel, as being kings on the earth, future kings and priests on the earth. Anyway, it says adversary. This is a blue letter. If you go to Ezra 4 verse 1, it says, the headline says, adversaries hinder the work. So this was a physical work, because after the Babylonian Empire, they were able to it was Cyrus that gave that order, and as Cyrus had long died, then you had Xerxes, or Artaxerxes. He was the one that had to go to the records and say, yes, Cyrus did say to have money set to the side. It tells you that when you read the whole chapter. Like I said, I'm not going to read the whole chapter. Anyway, this is a physical building, so they were physically building the temple. With Esau, the so-called Jews, and these elite scholars and religious people, they'll speak about the third temple. If you go to Google and you put in the third temple, you'll get articles on when is the third temple going to be built, who's going to build it, where is it going to be built. And they're thinking carnally, they're thinking that there's going to actually be a third temple. Well, that third temple represents Israel, and it's being built right now. Each one of us represent a brick, so to speak. The scriptures speak about Yahushua being the chief corner. The stone that was rejected became the chief cornerstone, which is represented as Yahushua. So it says, Ezra 4 verse 1. Now when the adversaries of Judah, now these were the nations that are round about the Israelites after the captivity of the because it was the Medo-Persian Empire. It was actually the Medes. It was an order. I believe that was Darius that put the order out, and one of the generals did what was called a surgical strike against the king of Babylon, and that's that was the night of the handwriting is on the wall. That term, the handwriting is on the wall, actually came from the scriptures when the last night of the rulership of the Babylonian Empire. There was a hand that wrote many tickle. You can go ahead and read it, and it was interpreted as you were found to be undisciplined, and you're going to be taken down tonight. You can actually read it if you want, and it's in the book of Daniel. Anyway, it says, now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard, the handwriting is on the wall for Esau. You know what the handwriting on the wall is now? Them ships. There's 144 open cases of unidentified aerial phenomenon up there in inner space, outer space, out in the sky. So that's the handwriting on the wall. It says, now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard, and Levi was a part of that too, heard, and some of the other tribes from the so-called northern kingdom, because they got back with the tribe of Judah. That's why you have a woman in the New Testament of the tribe of Asher, and I believe the whole account is with her husband, and they knew that the Lord was coming back, but they were from the tribe of Asher, and I believe her name was Anna, if I'm not mistaken. You can put it in the comment board. I'm not going to go to it. It says Judah. It says now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity, which are Israelites, built the temple unto the Lord power of Israel, it says, like I said, that was a physical temple to the Lord that was destroyed. So this temple now is a spiritual temple, which each brick represents one of us, and it starts with the 144,000. Then they came to Zerubbabel, which Zerubbabel was King David, and he also came back as Peter, and he also came back as King Masha. And to the chief of the, now I don't know if other camps like ISUPK and IUIC and any of those other alphabet camps still teach that Mo or Masha is King David. I mean, they never said anything, and we were the ones here at GMS in the beginning, going back years ago. We put up the videos of King Masha and High Priest Arya and High Priest Yaikwab, and we said these are our top leaders that we came up under, and we even mentioned some of the rest of the seven, like Lahab, Yeshaya, Shaw, Gazak. But you have the three, which was Masha, Arya, and Yaikwab, which Masha was Zerubbabel, and that's a whole subject right there. I got to do a thing on Zerubbabel, because the Most High is going to use Zerubbabel as part of this man going down. And so then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, and right behind him was Joshua the high priest, which was Joshua during the time of Moses. Let us build with you. So they wanted to build the physical temple, and now you have them wanting to build a spiritual temple like Vocab, Haman, the serpent in the garden. He keeps bringing up scriptures. Well, there's there's a term, and I did videos on this, called supersessionism or replacement theology, meaning anytime you read about Israel as far as receiving salvation, especially in the New Testament, it's really talking about the body of believers, which are the other nations. No, that's wrong. That's clearly not scriptural. That clearly shows you, that proves to you that he's a demon. Like when you go to the 144,000, it's not talking about Israelites, it's talking about the body of believers. So this, and he knows he's wrong. He's been he's been cut so many times with these scriptures that he doesn't even go back and forth with the scriptures. He can't deal with this when it comes to the scriptures, especially the prophecies. So what he does now is, he, like any other person that can't get you with the truth, they attack their opponent. That's in law. That's in the maximum law. If you go against somebody, you hit them with the law. If the law don't work, you hit them with facts. And if none of them point to this guy, you attack your opponent. You say, well, last year he did this and he did that and he did this. You're building a case against this guy. So he must have did that, but you can't prove he did that particular thing that you got him in court for. Anyway, let me get back into this. It says, second verse, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers, and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God. As ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Ahasuerus Haddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither. Now there's a whole account of during the time period of what's his name, Shalmaneser, taking other nations and putting them into the land of Ephraim, which is the land of Samaria, and lions attacked them. And what they did was they took one of the priests to teach them the laws, and when they taught them the laws, the Lord pulled back the lions from attacking them. So they began to say that they're the Jews. A descendant of one of those people would have to be the woman at the woman at the well, which she said to Yahushua, our fathers worship at that in this mountain, and you say Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. And the Lord told them, you're not one of us, in not so many words. So here you had those people that were keeping the laws. So they said, well, we want to be a part of the blessings too. But they were heathens. And this didn't include Esau at the time. It says, third verse, but Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our power. And that's when we tell Vocab, the serpent in the garden, Haman, that devil, that old serpent, the devil and Satan, we tell them all the time, this is not for you. You're not a part of this. Now, we'll tell them, now, if you're an Israelite, ultimately you can make it. But if you're not an Israelite, you're an Edomite. If you're an Edomite or another nation, you're not going to get these blessings. Now, ultimately, the nations will be blessed because they're going to learn the laws, but we're going to be over them. It's not like we're going to just beat the shit out of nations. Just come over here, man, and we beat the hell. And that's what you've been doing all day. One brother comes in, what you been doing all day? I've been beating the hell out of these other nations. No, we're going to be doing a lot of different things. But those nations are going to be under us. But the one that's going to get the biggest foot in the ass sideways are you Edomites. And this is why Vocab says, oh, the Edomites are done away with. Oh, that's so convenient. The Edomites are done away with. Well, who are these people ruling? What nation are them? Are these people? There would have to be a scripture on it. Who the ruling people of today When you go back into the history, the Babylonians ruled at one time. The so-called Egyptians ruled at one time. The Assyrians ruled at one time. You had different. The Greeks ruled at one time, and it's all explained in the scriptures. But we don't know who these people are. All we know is they're just white people. They just came out of nowhere. But them being in power has nothing to do with the Most High. Somehow they kind of got into power. Come on, man. This is why no Israelite takes you seriously, except for them weak-minded ones that leave or get kicked out and run right to you. Like that song that Whitney Houston sung, "I Want to Run to You." Anyway, it says, "Ye have nothing to do with us," and this hasn't changed. To build an house, a physical house back then. Now it's a spiritual house unto our power, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord power of Israel as King Cyrus, and that word Cyrus is the Hebrew word Karash, which means chosen, the king of Persia, hath commanded us. Now the Persians are the people of Iran today, which are the Elamites. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah. When it says Judah, it's talking about the kingdom of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and troubled them in building. And that's what these Christians are doing right now. They're troubling us in our building, led by vocab, that wicked root, and hired counselors. Now, Elder Yashawamba said he was set up and paid as a paid agent, and he told him to his face. So it says, and hired. What does the word hired mean? Mean you paying somebody to do something. They might not want to do it, but you say, well, we're going to give you a reward for doing this thing. And then they take the reward and they do what they got to do. So we can't prove that vocab meets somewhere and gets a check every week, or there's money put in his bank account. So we don't know, but we do know that he's set up. He's and he believes he's been around us enough. He did enough studying. He's a smart man, and he knows that we're the Israelites. He knows that the Edomites are so-called white people. He knows that the kingdom is going to be set up for the children of Israel. He knows that we're the Israelites, but you know what? He has to, do what his hidden masters tell him to do, and hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose. And that's what vocab's job is, to and these weak Israelites, man. And like Elder Yashawamba said, he said you can have them. I say that anybody that leaves and goes with vocab, and you can have them. You can have them. All right. All the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even until the reign of Darius, king of Persia. And in the reign of Ashurus, which is Xerxes, Ashureth, I believe there was more than one, but this one had to be the one in the movie 300, the real tall guy that came against the 300. That was Ashurus, but his name was Xerxes. In the beginning of his reign, wrote they unto him an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. And in the days of Artaxerxes wrote Bishlim, Mithridath, Tabel, and the rest of their company, and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. And the writing of the letter was written in the Syrian tongue. Now, when you look up the Syrian tongue, that's the current Hebrew. Like if you get a Torah is written in Syrian characters and interpreted in the Assyrian tongue. It says here in the heading, the letter to King Artaxerxes. Now, as you read down, it speaks about those people round about, like the Elamites, which are Persians, which are the people of Iran today. The Babylonians, these people. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say Shalom. Like I said, I just wanted to touch on this subject. And this proves without a doubt that the Lord never dealt with the other nations, and he's not dealing with them now. The Most High is only dealing with the children of Israel. And the fact that you see so many Israelite groups, not just GMS, but the other groups out there on the highways and the byways and doing these videos on YouTube and other platforms, is just the rising up or the standing up of the dry bones in the valley. The valley represents America, but it represents this system. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say Shalom.